Yes, people, hope you're well. Please like, share and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. So let's see what's been going on in the world of boxing. Gervonta Tank Davis, he said he vows to fight on, and he told Lamont Roach Jr. he wouldn't get the decision. Let's talk about vowing to fight on. I'm happy that he is. There's been a lot of talk potentially about him retiring or taking a break from boxing. He's a super talented fighter. And in my opinion, it would be a shame if he decided to walk away from the sport at this stage because of his talent. The second reason as well, I mean, let's be honest, guys. He's got a record of 30-1 now. Who's he faced? Who are those really top 50-50 kind of matchups where we thought, you know what, this is going to be super close and super tough for Tank Davis? I don't think he's faced anyone like that, to be honest with you, in his career. I kind of think that he's been cotton-wooled, especially under Mayweather Promotions. He was very much cotton-wooled in that sense. So that's another reason I don't want him to retire at this stage or even take a break in that sense. Let's go on to the second part. He told Lamont Roach he wouldn't get the decision. Now, if you don't know, Tank fought this weekend in New York. I have to say, it kind of went under the radar in my eyes anyway. I think it was because of the whole Conor Benn, Chris Eubank or Eubank Ben press conference, and just the kind of madness and the wildness that went on in those two press conferences. So we kind of put this fight under the radar. Now, in terms of the fight itself, Tank, very, very fortunate guy. Very fortunate guy, I have to say. It was a majority decision draw. In my opinion, I think he should have lost the fight. And I think Lamont Roach will be very disappointed at the fact that he didn't get a win on Saturday night. Bitterly disappointed. Let's get into the kind of X's and O's of what happened. It was one of those kind of fights where I thought Tank was going to do more. I thought Lamont Roach performed very, very well. The ninth round brought the most amount of controversy. In the ninth round, Lamont Roach caught him with a shot, and a few seconds later, Tank kind of went down voluntary on one knee. And as he went down on one knee, Steve Willis, who's an absolutely fantastic referee, brilliant referee. However, he made a mistake. He made a big mistake this time. He started counting, was starting to count to 10. And Tank, literally, in the process of counting to 10, he went to his corner, got his face wiped, and after he came back and he spoke to Steve Willis, basically saying that there was some gel that was stinging in his eye. That's the reason why he took a voluntary knee. Steve Willis, in that moment, it looked like he understood what Tank was saying and empathized with that, and the fight continued. Now, the reason why I have a problem, the reason why a lot of people in the fight game have a problem, fight fans have a problem, is the fact that because Tank took a voluntary knee. Now, if he took a voluntary knee, it's an automatic 10 count. No excuses, no reasons, it's a 10 count. The fact that Steve Willis didn't give him a 10 count, we've got to ask the question, why not? Now, gel can't be a reason as to why he's not getting a 10 count. Do you understand where I'm coming from? There have been worse situations. People have blood in their eyes. People might have an eyelash that's stuck in their eye. At the end of the day, if you go down, you go down. That's the rules. I understand you have some gel in your eyes, but with all honesty, you can't just go down on one knee and expect not to be counted, because at the end of the day, now you're creating your own rules in this situation. And for that reason, if you look at the scorecards, it's a majority draw. Two judges had it 114-114. If that was a 10 count, that would have been a 10-8 round to Lamont Roach. Everything would have changed. Everything would have changed based upon that. Lamont Roach would have got the shock of, in the boxing world, of the last kind of maybe few years, the fact that he beat Tank Davis. So I was really disappointed. I'll be honest with you, really disappointed about Steve Willis on that one. And I think I think it's so disappointing because we keep talking about refereeing decisions, and this is another one that we're talking about this week. So I think the boxing world have to get their act together when it comes to refereeing. if it comes to the point of refereeing having to explain their decisions. Because at the end of the day, fighters, if they don't perform well, they have to explain their decision. Promoters, if they put on bad cards, have to explain their decisions. Referees as well have to explain their decisions, why things happen. And it's just happening way too often. I might do another video about that later on this week. But yeah, it was an absolutely disappointing night, I think, for refereeing. Surprise, surprise. But Tank got the rub of the green there. Very fortunate to get the draw. Now, I did say before, one of the reasons as to why I think it went under the radar was because of Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn and that absolutely mad yet fascinating press conference last week. If you don't know what happened, there were two press conferences in the build up to their fight, which is going to be happening at Tottenham Stadium in April. And in particular, a lot of people were talking about the slap that happened with an egg by Eubank Jr. On Conor Benn in the first press conference, which took place in Manchester. Now, off the back of it, loads of people had varying opinions. Some people thought it was a great idea from Chris Eubank Jr. and should have done it. Some people thought, you know what, it was a really bad decision from Chris Eubank Jr. and shouldn't have done it. Some people who thought it was a bad idea, and these are thoughts that were coming from people on listeners on TalkSport and also people on social media as well. Some people were talking about the possible injury risk. Now, apparently, I didn't know this, but apparently if an egg shell touches your eye and it scratches it, it can actually have some really serious kind of ramifications off the back of that. So the potential injury Conor Benn could have got was a reason why people thought it wasn't a good idea. On top of that as well, in terms of setting precedent for younger fighters, I mean, how does it look like, some people were saying, where you have someone like Chris Eubank Jr., 35 years old, experienced in the game, doing something like that. It's not a good look for younger fighters because some of them might think, you know what, I can do that as well, or I can do something else that could be even worse in that sense. So the kind of precedent that and the example that's being set, people thought it wasn't a good idea. And the last reason as well is kind of the kind of legal disciplinary issues, which I don't really think is going to affect Eubank Jr. a lot, but he'll probably get a fine. It's probably chump change to him in that sense. But the fine itself, the fact that he'll get it, a lot of people thought, you know, it wasn't great that he done that. My opinion, I empathise with what people are saying around the potential injury and the precedent side of it. But I also think to myself, boxing, there's the boxing business and then there's the boxing entertainment. This, in my opinion, ticked all the boxes regarding boxing entertainment. It was absolutely brilliant in terms of an idea. Now, this doesn't mean that I'm Team Eubank and not Team Benn or whatever. But I just think from an entertainment standpoint, it was absolutely brilliant. The reason why, number one, hype for the fight. Hype for the fight. I mean, that kind of stunt created so much buzz. I mean, I'm talking about it. You guys have probably been talking about it. We will probably talk about this up until fight night. The whole slap and egg situation. And what made it even more fascinating and ironic is the fact that it was the use of an egg. Now, if you don't know what happened, Conor Benn failed 2 drug tests. And the WBC, which is a governing body, basically said the reason why Conor Benn failed the drug test probably was because of a large consumption of eggs. Now, up until this time, we don't really know why Conor Benn failed the drug test. All we know that is that he did. Nothing else has been released. But the fact that the WBC said that it probably was because of a high consumption of eggs, that's the reason why Chris Eubank Jr. used an egg. And that's the reason why, obviously, he used in order to slap Conor Benn in the face with it. Whether you believe it was eggs or not, that's a completely different conversation in itself. But it was fascinating in that sense. And off the back of it, there's now a lot of hype for the fight. And again, off the back of that, social media engagement. Viral moments. I'm sure you've seen the memes, you've seen the videos, you've seen the tweets and everything on social media off the back of it. it's been, in my opinion, I think it's been brilliant promotion, because loads of people are now talking about this fight. A lot more people are talking about the fight now than were talking about the fight previously. You look at ticket sales at the same time. If you believe in terms of the pre-sale tickets and the general ticket sales, apparently it's gone through the roof. So again, in that sense, I don't think it was a bad thing. I really don't think it was a bad thing. And lastly, again, mind games. Mind games. I think something like this, definitely, if you've seen Conor Benn in terms of how emotional he is, it definitely would affect him. The fact that Chris Eubank Jr. slapped an egg on his face. I mean, number one's a slap. Number two, it was with an egg on his face. That's definitely going to rile him up. It might even rile him up during the fight camp. It's going to make him emotional. And on a side note, I think it's going to be really important for Tony Sims just to ensure that Conor Benn is in a position of mental calmness, especially in fight camp and going into the fight. He can't fight on emotion. It's not going to work for him, in my opinion. I think it's going to be a very long night for him if he does so. But the mind games now that have happened off the back of it, again, is going to be really fascinating to see what happens on fight night. In that sense. Now, of course, if you think it was a good idea, if you don't think it was a good idea, please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know what you think about what I've said as well, in terms of why I think it was good reasons why it happened. And again, if you haven't done so already, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Like the video if you haven't done so already, and tell a friend to tell a friend about the channel and also about the video. And until next time, guys, peace.